We're live, my people.
Hey,
Hello,
everyone.
hello. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you had a beautiful weekend and getting ready for the work week
Yes,
to
the
come.
work week.
Whether you stay at home, whether you go to a job, you got your own business,
Whatever you're doing
school,
this week. That's
all
right.
that stuff.
That's right.
You know,
We want you to start this the first day of the week, and we want you to start it
fresh.
off fresh. That's
Yes,
right.
indeedy. So we hopefully you guys are having a nice Sunday, whether you went to church, whether you stayed home, meditated, or like myself, got up with my beautiful wife, had breakfast on the table already, which I love always. Then we headed out to pick up our, she's 1 year and 2 months.
A little Roddy.
Little Roddy. She's straight.
She has such a personality.
We might want to call her heaven sent. She's something else.
She's laid out over here.
Just laying down, just relaxing. The music this evening, coming straight from the late great Al Jarreau. You know,
taking y'all back.
Yes, indeedy.
To some real music.
Just fresh right here. We're in the love together. It's actually kind of like, for everything that's been going on, that is really, really, this music or this song is like hidden for today.
Yes.
With all the chaos that seems to be going on out in the world.
There's a lot going on. A lot of somber hearts and confused
especially
minds.
In the Black community.
Yeah.
We've lost some young, great minds, leaders that was moving forward. Prayers and condolences go out to Nipsey Hussle.
His family.
Yes, his family,
his children, his wife, his mom and dad.
All of them.
I can't imagine the grief
and the
sorrow.
Community in the Crenshaw district. I grew up there, as we like to call it, the jungle. It was very, very poignant. But this young man touched a lot of our next generation's lives, both with his music, the things that he did, and activism, and was trying to move forward in the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yes.
For his line of.
He had a great mindset. Yeah. I didn't even know. I knew of him. I didn't know he made music, because I always saw him on the business end. He was either always doing interviews or at some conference, and that's how I knew his name. I was surprised to find that he was kind of like an underground artist coming up. So that was interesting. And it's funny how so many people knew him on different levels. Some knew him for his music, and some knew him because of his entrepreneurial spirit. And I was one of those that only knew of him on that side of it. Yeah. So, he touched a lot of lives. And it was so sad that he's gone so soon. And it's even sadder that it was at the hands of one of our brothers. Yes.
But like I say again, we will continue to hurt ourselves in order to grow and to learn and to stop the, I just call it foolishness, that happens in the world. But before we get into that, I'd like to say, welcome to the T. I'm your man, Chauncey Anderson, right here, always beautiful.
I'm his co-host, his sidekick.
People, I'm just telling you, you need to get one.
Mayaka Anderson. Ooh, I'm here to support my man over here.
Straight up heaven. And today we just gonna talk about family, with various generations of family. And it hit my heart just like early this week. It was, it was amazing. That led into like the rest of the week. Maya was picking me up from the train station one day, just coming home, and we always talk about how the day go and everything like that. But then our oldest, there's 6 in our family, blended family, extended family, things of that nature. 5 girls, 1 boy. Sorry, Justice. Got short end of stick, bro. But Brittany called, and it's to me it's always touching. We have a 29-year-old daughter, and she just reaches out, and she was over at the youth church, getting ready for youth ministry that evening, and said that she just wanted to call and say hello, talk to us for a while, while we're driving, and the conversation was spirited. It was good. It not like anything that's going on. I mean, we talked about everything, whether it was relationships or, is she about to turn 30, if she's going to have children, the like, so on and so forth. Also, I think, Maya, you had talked with a lot of family this week. Also,
Yeah,
you
I
was
talked to
telling
a
me.
lot of family, a lot
Yeah.
of things going on. I'm blessed. We're both blessed that we're able to talk to everyone, and everyone is still here with us, and able to continue to give wisdom and have positive conversations to change lives and to help, especially the younger generation beneath us, try to navigate this world in a more constructive way than what we've been seeing lately. And I also want to give my condolences to all those that lost family in the Chicago shootings over the weekend.
Yes.
Really sad and just unnecessary violence.
It really is making no sense, the things that we see this happen, the things that are going on. How, supposedly, our community, the Black community, that doesn't, as perpetuated in the media and by a lot of other stereotypes, don't seem to have a hell of a lot going on, unless we choose to. But somehow we seem to be able to get our hands on all these weapons. A mass destruction. And then you go on these shooting sprees, which is absolutely crazy. It's bonkers to me. And like Maya was saying, I always say you have to keep your head on the swivel and be on the lookout.
All the time, even in our own community.
Yeah, in our own community, from the elders, whether it's the millennials, us who are Gen Xers, we have to be vigilant, about all things. Somehow, some way, if someone's going through some things, to be able to be a good listener, to hear what's going on, the problems, or just talking, and because oftentimes what ends up happening, because first and foremost, so many men are incarcerated. It's the mothers who are raising these young men or women who go out and do certain things. And then next thing you know, it's either their baby or my baby, but all the while, did we know what
they
was
knew
going
the
on?
lifestyle that was going on, but nobody wants to correct it until it's too late. And it is the accountability of the Black community. We're quick to say stuff about the white men, our oppressors, the system, but our number one enemy is ourselves. Truly. We are dying in large numbers each other. And until we realize that and really push that issue, to start talking about that, and until families start putting away those who are not contributing to the Black community. I mean, if your cousin's out there gangbanging, that person shouldn't be allowed to come into your house. I don't care to eat, to shower, whatever. They are like poison spreading in your community, and it's destruction. And you don't know who's after them, that you could find yourself with a bullet on your doorstep.
I think that's what they said that was happening in Chicago.
A
lot of it
is sad.
Youth.
And we refuse to speak truth because people don't want to hear it. But who traded in, the truth for a lie? I mean, we have to stand up and be accountable, and we have to make others accountable, or our community, no matter what goes on, whether, a lot of talk, has been gone on about Nipsey Russell and people being accountable. And yet just this weekend, we lose all these people in Chicago, in our communities, to senseless violence. When do we really wrap our minds around it? Every so often we get into these big catastrophes that happen in our community, and they want these vigils, and they want candles, and they want the memorial. But then the next day or the month later, everybody's doing the same thing. No one is holding themselves accountable and changing their own mentality. And then they won't change or force the person next to them to change. And if they decide they don't want to change, it's time to change your circle. And you cannot continue to live in a environment that's full of disease and pollution.
No, and that's why this conversation for this session on the T speaks to that. Is where it is with the next generation, because we have our elders, our grandparents, our parents, who are both the silent generation, the baby boomers, ourselves being the Gen Xers, but we also are looking at the millennials, and
who are coming up fast.
That accountability to be able to have, strong and hard conversations with one another, with so much that's going on in this world, because everybody is trying to do their own thing. Everybody's trying to come up. You got little babies that are doing some instrumental things. You have, our our children who are doing great things, wanting to do great things. We ourselves are working towards doing great things ourselves.
Right.
Our parents, are often working to do great things in their lives. And, it just keeps going on. But how do we start joining forces together in the Black community? How do we start beyond the point of going to a church?
Yes.
And I have zero against going to church, but it's beyond what's of those four walls and that roof and that floor that you go into. And as soon as you walk out,
there is no change. Your mentality is still the same.
How do we teach, that what we hear from the pulpit of pastors and preachers of bishops of various men and women that share a good message, don't get me wrong, but we start applying that to our everyday life. Because if those principles that are being shared don't stick, or as Maya was saying, that you hear that message and you know of a loved one, someone in your family that is doing all sorts of
crazy
evil,
atrocities, and you say nothing
in your household, in your circle, and you choose not either to conversate with them to make a change, like having Maya keep her knee off of the table. That's what I'm gonna be working on next week. That's my accountability to y'all that just saw like we had an earthquake. It wasn't no earthquake. That was Mayaka. That's coming to you live. But if you don't take the necessary steps, first and foremost, you can only affect yourself.
That's right.
You
it
look
starts
in the
with
mirror, and if you don't think something's wrong with that picture, whether you get money, whether you get those drugs from that person, whether you get your rent paid, all
you don't
those
see
different
the destruction within you.
That's
it's all for naught.
We will never fix the problem within. I
Right.
think that's what Dr. Amos Wilson has always said. That problem happens within. We won't do what's necessary.
No, because a lot of people are fearful to look at themselves in the mirror and say, no, I am the problem.
I mean,
Malcolm that ego and pride,
you have to be willing to lose your life. Yes. That's you have to be able to sacrifice your life to make a change. Myself personally, that's right here.
And that's where we live. That's where we live.
And it's but we're gonna tell you the truth, and we gonna shame everything that's of evil out there, because the truth of the matter is that if not, we continue to go on with this, and we continue to blame the system. We continue to blame the man, the woman, however you want to word it, those political leaders, however you want to fashion it. But when do you engage? When do you get
when
yourself?
Do you say that I'm going to make a change and this is what I'm going to do? Begins. Right.
So those are the challenge. But I don't want to get all doomsday, because this message to me is just phenomenal. Like I said, again, we talked with Brittany, we talked with the other family members, we talked with Justice. This boy had me crying this weekend, especially when he told me about an event that he was going to be doing. I love him to death. As they're growing, him and his wife, they had a banquet over at their church. Partners, like I say again, to help advance, I guess, some of the things that are going on in their church. It's called partnering. My thing of it is be mindful when you just give your money freely.
Yes.
As you're growing up.
Whole churches accountable. If you don't see the change of what they're saying.
Economically, I think it might be a sound thing, but what do you begin to get from it? I don't want anybody to ever feel like, I've seen that happen. My great aunt and uncle, they gave their whole lives to the church, First AME Church, love you to death. But when it came time to bury my great uncle, they wanted all this additional money. This man and woman been in that church 30 years, and you see it every time. You can't continue to give the same amount of tithes. They start saying that you are in a hole.
You're no longer a member.
You can't be welcome to the church.
You can't come back to the church.
Well,
so be mindful of that when you think of that.
Unless God coming for some buildings or your creator, then I think
your bank account. I just don't know.
How, who or wherever you getting your word from, because
what is going on?
That Bible work both ways.
It does work both ways.
You can actually minister to yourself. But I understand the assembling of the saints and coming together and all that, forsaking not. But all I'm saying is understand your finances. Our economy in the Black community is strong if we would both, it's almost like a light. That's what it is. We cast a huge light on our economy, and it's like that. But if we begin to focus or that light on a particular matter, if it starts with family, if it then starts with a family getting into a house, If it start focusing on creating a job so families can work together in the same type of adventure together,
creating an LLC together, doing whatever that's when you start to grow.
That's when you start to grow, you know, and it's a tremendous thing that can happen. Focusing your finances for education, educating our youth. I'm glad to see a lot of our family members, whether they're going to school or studying or have gotten their licenses or doing different things.
Right.
You know, Maya and I, we have our grandbabies, you know, that we're talking about doing things with and for them and to help prepare them going forward.
Right.
You know, that is really, you know, of interest. But I think a lot in the families, most of the times, those even, you know, I would say for Maya and myself, we oftentimes just put entertainment in front of our children. You know, we didn't focus on what, you know, that good education. Like yesterday, we went to second or third cousin.
My second cousin, I believe. Yeah, my second cousin.
Devon's birthday.
Devon's birthday party.
4 years old. Oh my God.
Yeah, turned 4.
This boy,
incredible little boy, beautiful spirit.
Huge. Little boy has the heart of gold. He was there. He was welcoming. You know, he was like, "Who y'all to?" But then once he knew who we were, he said hello. He was very nice. It was great to see. I mean, they threw him a party. They
threw a beautiful birthday party for this 4-year-old.
Bring the whole neighborhood to this party, but it was huge. It was
full of family, full of children.
Yes.
It was beautiful. The great grandparents to the, I think my uncle had great nephews there. I was like, that's amazing. All of the different generations that came together and the conversations that they had and the corrections that they would make with the children and then tell them how to correct their children. So it was really nice to see that coming together and no one holding back their tongue. No. They said what they needed to do. They just took it with grace.
It was with it. It was about just, you know, family in general. It was, you know, coming together, putting it all together. You know, we were streaming the
because we got there for the party and
early.
My poor auntie, I don't know what was going on. The place was a mess. So we jumped right in. I said, "What do you need? What do you need us to do?" Yes. We started going, and so it was nice. It was really nice.
You had Uncle Grady. I mean, he was out there. He was putting the barbecue grill together. Then he started grilling, and he had me cracking up because when I, you know, come in there, he would come to me and say, "Hey, you like something?" I say, "Yeah." He go, "Okay. This is going to be my first and last time serving you. You're part of the family. You need to get your own thing." So I had to learn quickly. And that's how Black people are in general. Yeah. When you are welcome into a Black family's house, they may serve you the first time. But if you good
then
people,
that's it.
You're on your own.
You're on your own. You need to go find out where everything is by yourself.
Everything is and how it goes about. But I just thought it was a great thing. It was so hilarious, you know, as they got there, you know, little Devon and all the rest of the kids. To me, like I say again, I know we got money in our Black community, but all of a sudden I walk out to the front because I had to go out to the car for something. All of a sudden I see, because the whole thing was Power Rangers.
I guess they're still in, y'all. Who knew?
All of a sudden I see these 3 Power Rangers out on the front stoop. I said, "Lord, okay, God help us." But these white people, bless their heart, they know how to make their money too.
They do. They came out there and they entertained them
and
kids.
It was hot as all.
Oh yeah, they had on the helmets and the gloves and the boots, and they had. They did it.
But it was fascinating. It was great to see, and as Maya said, the various generations. You know, we were all there and they were videotaping it and they were, you know, a part of it. It wasn't, they didn't get distracted by it or go do something differently. Because it was for the children. You know, that next generation, you know, 4 years of age, and the kids were all taken to it, you know. And they had a great time. And then the food was, as it was prepared and laid out for everyone to eat. That's, you know, that was the next thing, you know, just getting everybody to go. Everybody was, you know, really, I believe, being genuinely respectful to see who would go first instead of making this and
beeline to the kitchen and just y'all know how some places, I've been to places where even the men bump the women and children out the way to get them.
And it was, you know, everybody
no etiquette,
sat around and, you know, continue to talk, and you got to listen, and you got to hear, you know, just I would say things that you never thought that you would hear in conversations of,
Right.
how people should conduct themselves.
Yeah. And it was nice. Another thing, it was nice to see, because there were so many different generations,
Mhm.
it was nice to hear everybody's take on the situation with Nipsey Hussle also, because you find that the older generation had a different thought process than the younger generation. And I think the younger generation, although they were saddened by it, I don't think they really understood the message that the older generation was trying to convey to them, especially about rap, because they see no harm. They grew up in this, so they see no harm in it. They don't contribute a lot of things to the lifestyle of someone. They don't understand that the lifestyle you choose, even if you are putting good out there, if you are still connected to negative energy, that energy does come back to you. Yeah. So, you might say, okay, rap is not bad. You might say, oh, he was in the gang, but he didn't do anything in the gang, which no one would know but Nipsey. Those are things that you take to your grave. But when you're in those negative, or you're connected some way to those negative environments or those negative entities, the positiveness, sometimes it takes way more, or like he was just getting started, and it kind of caught up with them because of the negativity that others had, but he was in that, whether he stirred it up or not. It's just that lifestyle. And I think the older generation was basically stating, like, you got to take the whole thing into account, not just this part and try and put it together. You got to look at the whole pie. And when you start to do that, then you can look at your life and say, well, what's going on in my whole life, not just in this relationship, not just on the job, not just with my girlfriend over here, because them two don't talk, but the whole thing. And then you can kind of get the glimpse of what your life is going to be like, or what you're going to have to pay back because of some things that you've done. And you have to really be honest with yourself, because we've all done negative things. We're all young. We've all done some stuff that we shouldn't have done that has come back. Karma does come back. It comes to see you. No matter what you do. I've had it hit me hard. So it's a real fact. But just to see how the generations think about things that are happening in the world so differently, that was really interesting.
Well, and that's what I say, because when you have those different generations, that is really provocative, because you can often think of that generation that are elders, who had similar type experiences of men and women who were dying. Medgar Evers, Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Those were those were pivotal points, some controversy of all of those men. You're still hearing about, like, the death of Dr. Martin Luther King. How did he really die?
The conspiracy
was it the shot?
Theories,
was it at the doctors? Malcolm X, knowing where he was, how he was moving. Medgar Evers. These are some profound, very intelligent men. If you take Malcolm X prior to him going to jail and coming into the Nation of Islam, that brother was a hustler. He was doing some hard stuff. Same thing. Before Dr. King, although he was going to college and doing all, we all lived that life. We've all lived prior to what you see. I would even say, to that point, even Nipsey Hussle, with what he was doing as he was moving from one aspect of life,
he had found a new vehicle,
new aspect of life, that some of that stuff hadn't been taken care of. And truth be told, a lot of times with this system for Black men, the Black community, they don't want us necessarily to be outside of that box. Start moving in that way. That's right. That is beneficial to the health, the wellness, the prosperity of the Black community. Oh, they gonna always try to do something to shut that down.
But what's funny is that, you would always hear, especially with sports players, they got their money and they moved out of the community. They got their money and they went and did this. They forgot about their people. They got their money. This right here shows you why.
Come on, say it.
Because this man not only lived in his community, he was giving back to his community. And his thank you was this. And so we have no foot to stand on when we tell people, oh, you left the community. You don't even live in your same spot. You ain't buy no house. It's like, well, how can I do this when you have brothers and sisters jealous of what I'm doing, but what I'm doing is for them, but they can't see it because that veil is over their eyes, and all they feel is jealousy and hatred. And how dare you come and tell me something that like I'm stupid, but they're probably just giving you information so that you can come up out of where you're at. But I mean, that's not what you hear. No. They hear like, you're trying to be better than me. Now you got this. Yes.
More so than what it is.
Exactly.
We know where we all started. Start from. Trust, do, believe. I even said it yesterday. We were sitting down talking with Aunt Fran, and I even said it. I grew up in the Crenshaw district. I grew up in what we call the jungle. It's still very much the jungle. It ain't changed.
Right.
It may have got some paint on it. You know, crack cocaine may have
that mindset is still the same.
Bit, but the same essence. When you live on Dr. Martin Luther King in Hillcrest, you are very much in the Black community, and that's where me and my family grew up at. We stayed in a very nice little apartment initially, but when the crack cocaine epidemic hit, literally me and my brother was walking mattresses and box springs across the street to the next apartment because various things that transpired with a single mom who got strung out, loved my mother to death, but I have zero problem with telling the truth. Some people don't like telling the truth about a situation or a story, stuff.
But it has to be told.
That after I chose to go in the military, that happened to my sisters. Oh yeah, no, I mean, that's what Nipsey was seeing. And that's another generation. As he saw the things that was prevailing wherever he was, he made a 180 decision and start moving in another direction.
Right.
He saw what could benefit him and his, and he started moving in that direction. Luckily for me, when I went in the military, and a lot of brothers that I hung out with that was selling the rock and doing all that stuff, guess what? When I came back to that neighborhood, they were dead. They were incarcerated.
Gone.
So I knew it wasn't no coming back. Raising of my children was not going to be in LA, you know, South Central. Sorry. It just did not happen. And a lot of us are not mindful that when you become conscious and you want to do good things and good things for your family, that should, I mean, when others see it, it should be a good example.
Should be a beacon of light.
So many people wish to continue, again, perpetuate the stereotype, use the system as an excuse
when
to try to pull you back down with them. Sorry, I ain't even tripping off the crabs in the barrel. But that's what it is.
That is what it is.
It goes without
and that crab
saying.
Came up and got another crab and said, "Oh, you're not going to do this. You're not going to make it out there, and I'm going to make sure you don't make it out there."
They chose to try to stop this young man's life, and that's what I say about the next generation. It's our responsibility, both the elders, us that are, you know, going to be
taking the torch soon,
you know, as well as our children, to continuously put goodness and great things in their lives. Them to hear. I remember as we were leaving last night, I went out to find Donovan and thanked him. He probably looked at me like, "Man, what are you thanking me for?" Just the thought of thanking him for inviting us to his birthday party. I thought it was the most awesome thing. But here's the best part that I saw also. I saw this next generation of young men. I saw this the elders out there with them. You know, they cleaned up everything, put stuff away. Now, what was going to happen after that? I hope they had a great time. Just talking, conversation, and everything like that. They was watching the rest of the Final Four. We had to get back down here to pick up a little girl, Rottweiler, this morning. But I just think it was a tremendous time. So the next generation has so much to offer.
Potential.
But it's also our responsibility.
Yes. Now that we know, only that them. We know, but we know how to.
Yes.
We have no excuse. This next generation is going to be the one that's going to rise and save us. And you may or may not be here to see it.
Yes. But you got to be in this game, you know, and then, like I say again, in any sport, you protected the quarterback. And that's what our next generation is. Yeah. We are those players that are going to be on the front of the line. We ain't sitting on the sideline.
That's right.
We can talk the conversation, whether it's in economics, whether it's in education, whether it's in entertainment, whether it's in law, whether it's in labor, whether it's in politics. whether it's, I mean, most people hate to say it, religion,
Yeah.
whether, I mean, sorry, hate to say this word, the big S word, sex, also in war. We got to be mindful of all those components because our kids are going to get it.
And be ready to speak on it.
Yeah, and you got to be telling it the truth. Man, I tell you, this right here, this conversation for this session was really lively. Had a great time. Trust and believe. We got to flip over to Facebook Live, but we love you guys. Peace.
We love you.
Rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle, a soldier that was out there on the front line doing what he was supposed to be doing.
Yes.
And we just gonna let the Creator continue to move us in that strategy like chess.
Awaken us,
And wait, allow us to continue to build that kingdom here on earth.
That's right.
That's all I gotta say.
All right. Bye, fam.
Peace.